Chef Dyke Michael's making food, and he's making comedy too. Thaddeus J. McKee is co-hosting with the guy I mentioned previously. Sauce Boss Zach's on the 1 to 2, so good he calls them 2s and 3s. And as always, there's a guest who'll be sure to please on Harder Brunch.
Hey.
Harder Brunch.
What's the name again?
Yeah, you're listening to.
Hi, and welcome to the Harder Brunch podcast. I'm your host, Dyke Michaels. With me is my co-host, Thaddeus J. McKee.
Pappy Wham Wham.
On the 1s and 2s, the Wheels of Steel, the Sauce Boss of Indianapolis, and the Last White Dragon. Give it up for Sauce Boss Zach.
Hey there.
And two very special guests with us in studio. I think you guys are our second married couple we've ever had as guests on the show.
Fancy.
Ryan and Nicole Esch.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
From Kismet Beer Company.
Got it. Thanks for having us.
Hey, welcome to the program, guys. Real quick, I'm very excited to tell you guys that we have a brand new YouTube channel. Just go to Harder Brunch on YouTube, and if you guys could do us a favor, if you like the show, just click subscribe. You don't even have to watch it. You don't even have to watch it if you don't want to.
That's right. You don't have to watch it. Just subscribe. That's our slogan. You don't even have to watch.
Yeah. Just get 5 people to subscribe. That's all we want.
That would be great.
You know, I mean, honestly, I feel like if you have enough subscribers and Patreon members, like nobody needs to watch the show. We could just do the show for us.
Right.
And then that's the wall. So we finally get to say what all those ideas that Zach has that we don't let him say on the actual.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
For legal purposes.
Legal purposes, we don't let him say.
Yeah, I don't know how the paywall makes it more legal.
Yeah, but please hit subscribe. And then, of course, we do an entire extra podcast every week. It's the After Brunch podcast. It's very fun.
Yeah.
Usually we have a comedian or somebody on, and we really get silly on there, and it's only $3.
I'd call it the director's cut of Harder Brunch.
It really is. It really is I like that, the director's cut. It's the stuff... like, do you remember Too Hot for TV? Mm-hmm. Those stickers they put on things. It's like Too Hot for the Harder Brunch. It's the After Brunch. That's where we put all the spicy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I really undersold this entire episode. What you're about to hear right now is garbage.
So boring. Thanks for the after brunch.
It's cold enough for TV.
Oh my gosh, welcome to the show. I'm very excited. I apologize, I've not got a chance to go into the brewery yet, but I'm very excited.
Why don't you shout out that brewery?
I did. I literally began with it. Where were you?
I meant, like, say that again. Okay.
No, I was excited because I know you, so whenever I know people that are doing cool stuff, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
And then I started seeing it come across on my, like, the soft opening, and I'm seeing people go there and have a good time. I have driven past, but I came slightly before you guys were open, and the space looks cool from the outside. I'm going to go there very soon and check it out, but we love anything on the east side, we love it.
We built it where we built it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Give me a little bit of background on how you guys met, and then how you guys went from being partners in life and in love to partners in business.
Well, we get to start out with a love story right away. Yeah. I'm excited.
Jump into the deep end.
Yeah, right into the juicy stuff. Ryan and I met at another local brewery we worked at. He actually was set up with an interview with me as a taproom employee. So we got to have, I got to interview my husband before I met him, actually, or before I married him.
It's the single most rigorous interview of my entire life. 45 minutes for a 10-minute interview.
Yeah, so we met at another local brewery, and we both started working there. We were there for a number of years, and then just with 2020, did some reevaluating and decided that if we were gonna, especially for me personally, if we were gonna stay in beer still, the only way I would do it is if I could work for myself. So pretty much immediately, August 2020, started writing the business plan. We went through a number of all sorts of rigmarole to get to where we were to sign our lease in August of 21. So it took us a full year to get through some like legal hurdles.
Sure.
Zoning issues.
Yeah, zoning problems. And then we started our build out in September of 21, and Ryan kind of took the lead on that while I was still working, and he everything that we could do ourselves in that building, Ryan's done. And then,
with some help of some very talented friends.
yeah, absolutely. Bicursal Designs is a local, they make mostly like lifestyle jewelry, home goods out of reclaimed wood, but they kind of pivoted in their off season and came and helped us with all the wood build out in the space, which is like pretty much the whole space.
That's all. Are you like a handyman, hands-on kind of guy?
I would consider myself handy. You kind of have to be as a brewer. When things break, most of the time you just kind of have to fix them yourself. I would say I am vastly more competent now than I was at the start of the project. There was a lot of learning on the job, stuff you don't know how to do until you're forced to do it, kind of in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, and I know, like, as a previous business owner, like putting out those fires become very costly, and you learn very expensive lessons very quickly.
That's been the first 2 months, I would say, of being open, especially things that we bought used equipment. So I would say, I've said this pretty frequently about this whole process, that we know basically everything about running a brewery, but building a brewery from the ground up is a very different task.
Yeah.
A lot of different skills are involved, a lot of different things that you don't think about until after the fact.
I think less money, like at the very beginning of anything that you're starting, causes you to be more innovative and learn more things.
That is very, very true.
You know what I mean? Because you don't have the luxury just to hire someone for the, like, I used to like do like this little business, and like we had a truck that would break down, and then like I had to learn how to fix the truck because I'm like, well, this is going to be a lot less money than hiring someone. So, anyways, that's just a thought that I had.
I think that's incredibly accurate. There's been many, many points in this process that we wouldn't have finished if we had paid other people to do.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So, I mean, it's good. I'm not mad at the people though that are standing on the fat wallets.
Right.
But we were lucky enough to go with a local Indianapolis company, Renew Indy, who invest in a lot of female-owned and minority-owned businesses. We're a female-owned brewery, so she's the boss, I'm the grunt, and because of that, we had a pretty limited budget. So there was definitely some learning on the job. I'm not going to fix your house, but I can figure it out if I have to. I would put it that way.
Yeah.
And so you were up to September of 21.
Yeah, so we up to September of 21. That's when we really started the build out. Ryan transitioned to doing that almost full time, and then it was truly a dead sprint to our soft opens. Our friends and family opens were in March, and it was just like the doors were opening, and we were still like putting away shop vacs and pulling like paper off the windows as like friends and family were entering the building. It was a construction zone up until well past the doors were open. So
357, I'm trying to figure out how to hang these antique mirrors in the bathroom, and we didn't have any glasses washed. Our QR code didn't work. The POS system didn't work. The drains that I bought for our 3-bay didn't fit the 3-bay. So
That sounds about right.
and there was a line of people waiting to come into the building. So
just a true soft opening.
yeah, we figured it out pretty quickly, I'd say.
How many barrel system are you guys running right now?
So it's a 3.5 barrel brew house with a 5 barrel hot liquor tank. So I can double batch beers. I try and be sustainable as possible. So I try not to put any water down the drain until I've used it twice. So it's a 5 barrel is slightly undersized if you're double batching, but if you recycle your knockout water, you can capture both the energy that you captured from cooling down your wort, as well as capturing the water so it doesn't go straight down the drain. So it's tiny, but we just wanted to do something that was sustainable for two people. Ultimately, we just like working together and figure if we're going to be in beer, we should make a business that allows two people to live a life.
No, I think that's amazing. I am curious though, as because like during lockdown, I thought the world was ending. I think a lot of us did. But there's people like you that meanwhile were sitting down writing business plans, so
people like her that were sitting down writing business plans.
So you have this idea as you're watching restaurants fail, you're watching breweries fail, you're watching businesses fail, things get shut down, and you're like, you know what? I think now's a good time.
Let's open something.
Get it and start like. So what I guess sparks that kind of motivation as the world being in the state that it was in?
Well, I think it really was just there was a sense of like life's too short, a little bit of that, and I had an opportunity to realize that the culture of the place I had been working before wasn't a good fit. And so that was like, the impetus for me to just really like, if I want to stay in this business, I want to do it my way. I want it to reflect my values.
Yeah.
So I think it was obviously, and it took us, 6 months. They were evaluating quarter by quarter on if they were going to, lend us money, if they were going to, what they were going to do. But I think it really was like a life's too short moment. Like, I'm not going to keep making someone else money, or I'm not going to keep working for a place that I don't feel aligns with my values. So it was just a reckoning, I think, for me and for us.
I think that you really hit something there, because I think so many people, it was just to stop and kind of reevaluate what's important.
Exactly.
And I mean, I think honestly that's why so many people haven't gone back to like the food service industry, because it's just like, I would rather be doing so many other things than this job that I had. And so some people went the route of just getting out of the industry altogether. Some people went the route of starting their own thing. I mean, I definitely, before COVID, was like burnout of food service, and like, I love cooking food, obviously. I do it every week.
Brunch was so amazing.
It's something I really enjoy doing, but I like the restaurant ownership side of it. I was like, oh, I mean, I went to school for it and thought I wanted to do it, and then got into it and was just like, I hate every day of my life.
Well, I think that's part of it too, is that things aren't going to change until people are making the effort to like be part of the change. And I think there are a few places that are really trying to like pay people appropriately, compensate people for their time, focus on, mental health. It's the minority still of business owners in hospitality, but that's something we want to be a part of. Like, it's going to be Ryan and I until we can afford to pay someone. Like, we want you to be like ballin' if you come work there. Like, we're aiming for $15 an hour plus tips. And if we can't pay you yet, then we're not going to bring you on yet. So,
and if I could just say, like, one thing about the service industry, like, I think we all need to come to grips with the fact that it is one of the single most important industries in this country. And I'm done feeling guilty about the fact that I chose to choose it as a career. Like, there's a lot of pride in making a product. There's a lot of pride in bringing people happiness. There's a lot of pride in sitting down and having people come to share their limited free time and resources. They're giving you their energy. That's what cash is. They're giving you their energy to support you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But I think we've been trained in this country that it's second class. I think we've been trained that anyone can work at McDonald's. If you've worked in a kitchen, everyone cannot work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's why they have the turnover that they have. That's why they had to start paying people what they started paying them. The service industry teaches you life lessons that everyone needs. Humility, grace, patience.
Yeah.
So we're big advocates of the industry, but I think the most important part for me about what Nicole said is that you can continue to give your money to people that don't support your values, or you can vote with your money, which is what she convinced me to do. I took some convincing, but like ultimately the only way that you can be an advocate for change, it seems like, is to use your money to support causes that are worthwhile.
There you go.
100%. And we've been kind of the, I don't know, sideline reporters, I feel like. I mean, because this podcast started, before COVID, went through the shutdown that was like just supposed to be 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden we started seeing, businesses close and this and that, and then realizing like, and then just see the industry change. And then there was a point where we all kind of like had these complaints and gripes about like, if we get another chance, like we're going to change. And you guys really took that to heart. It like really did, like, hey, like so many people kind of just went back to status quo as soon as it was possible. And the thing is, like, I notice this anytime I go out now. There's so many places that are just operating with someone who's just like a new hire. They didn't change any standards and practices. So the service and the experience is kind of worse that person hasn't been given the proper tools to excel at their job, and when you go in, you just kind of have this bad experience of like, oh, like this is different than that it used to be.
And it's because it's like a survival mode. People are like trying to wade water and try to help other people swim, and like it's a tough time. I went to Arby's the other day, and I went into the line. I just asked like if I could get some food, and she said, you know, this isn't working right now, and like
this isn't working out, or did they break up with you?
Did you get dumped at Arby's?
I'll
Was
just
that a
say
Dear John letter?
that's not a clear statement to make.
No, that is
This
not.
isn't working right now. I was like, oh, like, are you talking about like the speaker? Like, do I need to come in? And she's like, it's not working. And I was like, wait, so like, is the lobby open, sir? And she just starts screaming at me, it's not open. And I was like, you know, this is. And I had the grace in the moment to think this is what's happened with the pandemic. You know, like she's just learning how to swim, and I just kind of yelled back at her. I was like, I just kind of yelled back at the speaker. I was like, you could have been nicer about that. And yeah, I used some cuss words. You know, I'm making myself look better in this. And I was like, oh, we're all learning.
We're all
wading water.
I like to play a game when I go to Taco Bell called Taco Bell Bingo. I have my little bingo card, and I go, what are they going to be out of? And they roll up, and they always let you know right up. Look, there's no drinks, and no meat, and no cheese. What do you want?
And it's cash only.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, like it's become a point of pride now that I will order whatever they have. Like I just came for cinnamon twists, and I have a bucket of quarters. You know, like they're like, okay.
Game on.
No, I just like that the McDonald's ice cream machine thing is now just with any food item. It was like they were practicing with that. Like, no, our burger machine's broken today.
Burger machine's broken.
You know, I drove around and tested that out once for a bit for Red Flag. We just went around to different McDonald's and just ordered a single ice cream cone. And then the weirdest thing is they all were working, but each different place that we went to had a different price. It was slightly off by like 30 cents window. And then we would just give it to the first person we saw, just ask them to do like a free plug. We were like, hey, would you like a free ice cream cone? And then almost everybody said yes. And they were like, hey, can you say you love Red Flag comedy?
Quick, it's melting.
Yeah, quick. And they're like, say what now? I was like, that doesn't matter. Oh my gosh. You guys came on a day of days. You guys came on. Unfortunately, the great actor Ray Liotta passed away this week in his sleep, at the age of 67. And I think he was kind of universally known for one of my favorite movies and the classic film, Operation Dumbo Drop. It's kind of how most people know him.
Wasn't sure which way that one was going.
And do you have the amount of animals that were killed in that movie?
Oh, it was a lot.
They dropped a lot of elephants.
They did. They did.
Take after take
All right,
after take.
cut! Release! You guys forgot to release it again.
Save the cute elephant for the last one.
Yeah.
Who's doing the parachutes? You're fired. Ray? There one.
Yeah, he invented a lot of different like practical ways to process and eat elephants, I believe, on the set of that movie.
Because he didn't want to waste the meat.
No, you gotta
Gabagool was
yeah.
like,
You gotta eat all parts of the elephant is what they say. No, of course we're talking about the movie Goodfellas, which is one of my favorite films. And so, Ryan, you've seen Goodfellas before. Nicole, you had never seen it before?
Not all the way through.
Okay.
I'm ashamed to say right now.
It's all right.
Can you say your race again for us, please?
Yes, in my Italian heritage,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm excommunicated at this point.
All right.
That's a game we like to play on this podcast. Say your race.
I think we should just get it out on the table. That's how I like to start all my conversations.
Yeah.
Okay, what race are you again?
Yeah.
Thaddeus McKee. Welsh. I'm very Welsh.
I thought you were Amish earlier.
Yeah, well, Amish Welsh.
Honestly, that's a
Welsh,
whole
yeah.
other podcast.
Yeah, my Amish Welsh heritage.
It is race weekend here in Indianapolis.
That's what we were just
Is
talking
that a
about.
segue?
It all works out.
Everyone name your favorite race while we're
We did play that one time.
Oh, God.
Wait, that was something after brunch.
Yeah,
Maybe I should say that.
yeah, $3. $3.
$3 for that game.
That seems like a paywall kind of conversation right there.
Well, it was what was your favorite? Name your favorite race, but you can't name your own. So you had to pick a different race.
Fair enough.
It was uncomfortable.
Sounds like a lot.
Well, it was Indy 500 weekend, I guess I should say.
There we are.
And we were initially going to do some sort of theme of that ilk, and then Ray Liotta passed, and I was like, man, we really have to pay tribute. 'Cause, one of my favorite actors in one of my favorite movies. I started looking up his IMDb. This guy has been like professionally acting. He's been in a lot of really well-known favorite movies, a lot of one-offs on TV shows, and then he just also just did a whole bunch of bad movies. But he was just working his entire career. He was
What's
just always,
the worst movie that?
I mean, I don't know if they were worst movies, but just movies you never heard of because they were like B movies.
Like Tremors or something like that?
Well, how dare you, sir?
First
I'm a
of-
little taken aback
First
as
of
well.
all,
Yeah.
Well,
Step away from that
It's a great film.
is he in that?
No, he's not in Tremors.
Oh,
Kevin
You're
Bacon,
thinking of
though,
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I was just say Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
I've been crying over Kevin Bacon this whole week.
Yeah. But yeah, so Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies, and so we gotta play around with that. And Zach, would you like to go first on your dish?
So I did lemon garlic chicken that was Martin Scorsese's mother's recipe, and
Mamma mia!
had a lot of garlic in it, a lot of lemon.
Yeah,
It uses like a whole quart of lemon juice.
you can. I mean, it had a lemon taste to it, but it wasn't like overpowering or anything.
Yeah, no, I feel like it could have used more.
It was good. Well, if you think about it, I feel like there's a lot of like Middle Eastern cooking and stuff. They do a lot of like the lemon chicken. Like, I want to say, I don't know. They know what they're doing over there in that part of the world. I was gonna say in Western cooking, you don't see a lot of lemon like cooked with chicken very often. Maybe like a little lemon pepper.
Piccata.
Yeah, but not like everywhere, you know. So it was nice. It was a nice change. And that as we were watching that scene from the movie, the actor who played Joe Pesci's mom is actually Martin Scorsese's mother.
That's awesome.
And then that was her cookbook that we were.
By the way, you guys brought a whole new appreciation to that movie with your poster.
Yeah.
And with the trivia tidbits that went along with it.
I've learned so much today.
yeah.
Deep cuts, man.
So I bought this. This is what I did during quarantine. When you guys were figuring out a brewery to open, I was buying Goodfellas merch.
You have to support local art.
I didn't realize I knew I didn't have a frame big enough for it, but I didn't realize, I forgot how big it was, and then I finally went out and got the frame and like put it up last night. And I was like, this is the biggest poster I've ever seen. Like, so big.
Well, he's looking that way and he's looking that way.
Guy Mills like, what do you want from me? Looks like a guy we know. So I did the prison sauce from Goodfellas. The sauce when they're all in prison with the, tried to not to put too many onions in it as they do in the movie. There's a channel that I really like called Binging with Babish. I don't know if you guys ever seen this. It's on YouTube. No. And he just recreates famous dishes from TV and movies.
That's awesome.
And he's really good at it. So like I always like check in with him first, and usually just do like a small variant of whatever. So I made that sauce with the meatball, and it was kind of like just a classic meatball it was like lamb, pork, and ground beef. And then but the sauce has all kinds of good stuff in it. Like I made the other dish of the peppers and onions, but the sausages for that were just cooked in the sauce overnight. Man, I love a good crock pot too. I love like setting something up last night, going to bed, and then it's just done in the morning, like rolling here.
It's virtually the entirety of our cooking right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's great. Great.
What can we cook and have for the next 7 meals?
When we get home at 11:30 at night, we just want to reheat because neither of us are cooking a real meal.
Yep.
Do you guys serve any food right now at the brewery?
We don't. You can bring in food, and then we have cluster truck menus around there. So
Nice.
Come prepared, but bring in whatever you want. We're working on possibly getting a couple of easy to serve items that we can do without having to add like much infrastructure or staff.
Sure.
Because again, it's just going to be the two of us for a minute. But for the most part, even when we do have that option, it'll still be like bring in whatever you want.
I kind of like the idea of just sticking to what, like, hey, we're just here to make beer. And, like some people kind of like, hey, we gotta do this and that and the other. And it's just like, there's so many options of ways to get in food and stuff now that it's like, if that's not the driving passion, then I'm just like, why do it? Like.
And we wanted to, we had a partnership that just didn't work out. Just staffing's hard right now, but we're here to, support another local brewery or not brewery, I'm sorry, like another local business. So we've been trying to find, whether it be a food truck or another entrepreneur, like we want to support somebody else too, like what they're doing. Cause exactly.
Ultimately,
we're not here to do a
us
kitchen.
to help them. It's obviously not altruistic, but at the same time, we built a business on the east side because we wanted to support the east side. So thus our first food truck partner. It's not their fault that it didn't work out. Yeah. So.
That's great. And you guys are still also in that sweet spot of being the cool, like the new hot girl at school that everyone's just like, oh, you've been to the, like everyone always kind of
familiar with.
Everyone kind of asks for it, like at a whisper. Have you heard? Have you been? Have you been? Have you heard? Like I've heard. I haven't been. I will have been.
My favorite's when people call each other out in the comments of things and they're like, I know, I should have gotten there already. And you're like, yes, shame. Come on in.
So it's like the new cheerleader moves to the high school, or is it like a she's all that situation?
Yeah, we finally took our hair out of a bun and took off our glasses,
Like,
so
oh
we're
my
hot
gosh.
now.
Yeah. I think that was the last day right before the soft open. Like, that was the glasses getting pulled off.
Shook our hair out. Like, saw what you did
very
there.
slow motion.
Yeah.
She's drop dead gorgeous. And then for dessert, I'm going to be completely honest. We did a mashup. Like he wanted to bring some limoncello in. And what was your original plan with the limoncello? You were just going to drink a bottle of it, and
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just justify having it here so I could get drunk on it.
It's literally called Harder Brunch.
Just shots.
it was like, yeah, you can put this on somewhere.
Just fit it in somewhere.
I originally was trying to do I wanted to just do like a lemon. I've been having a lot of fun with my ice cream maker this summer, and it's not even summer yet, but I want to do a lemon sorbet, and I was following the recipe, and I'm like looking at it, and I had it going for like 20 minutes, and it just wasn't, you know what ice cream looks like. It didn't look like that.
It's not supposed to look like water.
Yeah, it just looked like some lemon water that was just kind of spinning around, and I was like, huh. And then I was like, okay. And you troubleshoot, much like at a brewery, like sometimes. Here's the biggest problem. We've just now started putting menus down, and I think that's a terrible idea because now I have to stick to before if I messed something up, I would just never tell you, and you would never have known that something was supposed to come out. But now there's proof that a damn lemon sorbet is supposed to be coming out.
It's waiting the whole meal for
Yeah.
Listen, it was icy cold and lemon. It was delightful.
But yeah, it turned into more of a limoncello shaved ice dessert. But we just kind of played around, did a mashup with it, and I was very happy with the way it turned out.
No, I thought that was fantastic.
Incredible.
I think
All of
it played into the race too, right? Shake-ups, you kind of got like you hit another level there.
We should, we have those checkered flags. We should have put the checkered flag on there. Hit up all the angles. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break, and I think we all need another beer, and then we'll be back with Nicole and Ryan, and we'll get into these. You guys can talk about the delicious beers you guys brought.
Awesome.
Like and subscribe.
Harder Brunch. Harder Brunch. Yeah, you're listening to Harder Brunch. Harder Brunch.
So did they tell you why we have Suzanne Summers, or did you just ask?
No, I was just like, I couldn't think of her name. We were in here, and I was like, she's from Three's Company, but I can't think of her name.
We said I guess this is all of Ray Liotta's love
Former
partners.
lovers is where they
Hi, and welcome back to the Harder Brunch podcast. We're talking about our new studio. We have a picture of Michael Landon, LBJ, President LBJ, and Suzanne Summers, and they are all famous bedwetters. It was
Is that really the theme of that?
yeah. Michael Landon being the first, the most famous bedwetter, followed by LBJ, and then Suzanne Summers.
Now, for those of you that don't know Michael Landon, he was the father on
Little House.
Little Step by Step.
Wow. Little House on the Prairie, and then later in his career, Highway to Heaven.
I do remember Highway to Heaven.
So where does Topanga come in? Just as a because she's Topanga, like
Okay,
no
well,
more explanation needed. That makes sense to me.
So that is not Topanga. That is
Not Topanga.
That is the actor that played Topanga as an adult. No, that's. If I had a
Nailed it.
if I had a picture of if I had a picture of well, let's just make it clear we don't have a picture of teenage Topanga down here
yes,
in
I'm
our
sorry. Yeah, not
middle-aged man honeycomb hideout.
Fair clarification.
I see.
Fair clarification.
Yeah.
That is 40-year-old
Age appropriate
actress. So there was
That's season 1.
yeah, there's a lot of callbacks here in the podcast that so there was a thing that happened. I was trying to get onto a viral thing, and you got to be careful with these viral things because they come so quickly, and if you don't get on them at the right time, you can miss out. But if you sometimes jump on them too soon, you can get in trouble. So what happened was there was a guy that was on Twitter, and he was complaining that he had found shrimp tails in a box of his cereal.
The cinnamon shrimp tail.
And then cinnamon.
Oh,
cinnamon
hey.
I'm aware.
You followed.
And then he was, and I forget her real name's like Danielle. Can we look that? Do we have the
Fisher.
Yes.
Danielle Fisher? Yeah. Okay. We don't need the internet to look that up. Thank God we don't have it. But he's tagging her in all these posts that he's complaining to Cinnamon Toast Crunch, whoever makes it, and everyone's like, "Why is this guy tagging Topanga like in these complaints?" And then it came out that was they were married, and so he's like tagging his wife in these complaints.
Really?
And so it became kind of a funny thing, and it was like cute. And like my idea was like, okay, I'm gonna make these Cinnamon Toast Crunch battered shrimp and put it up for like content for Harder Brunch just on the internet. And it's just we're just gonna jump right on this viral thing. And I bought everything to make it, and I printed out that photo, but I didn't have enough time to put it together. And I was like, we'll do it tomorrow. And by the time tomorrow came, it came out that this guy is just like a notorious Hollywood piece of shit. He had been like, all these people like Me Too'd him, and he was just like a terrible human being. And I was just like, I am just so glad that we didn't get into the mix.
Slowly walk away.
Yeah, we're just gonna slowly walk away from this.
And by the way, shrimp, cinnamon, no. That sounds terrible.
There was a lot of chefs that did it, and it can be done. It can be done. You can pull it off.
Well,
Yeah, sure. Ever had popcorn shrimp?
yes, but not cinnamon. Come on, man.
Knock it till you try it.
That's totally different.
I don't know how you compared popcorn shrimp to like
Cinnamon.
cinnamon.
It's not comparable.
You're halfway there. You're halfway.
grass.
No, it's sugar.
You're halfway there with the bread. Look, we're not gonna get into why you're wrong
There's
right
a big
now.
philosophical difference here.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, I think we're missing a big point.
Yeah, no, Dyke just says stuff and expects to get away with it.
You can't get away with
No,
that.
I didn't see the thing is the guests are like, well, we shouldn't call him out because he cooked us this nice brunch, but no, fuck that.
Thank you.
That was a shitty thing you said.
Like, have you heard of popcorn shrimp?
Yeah.
Same thing.
They do chicken nuggets.
Except with cinnamon. No way.
Like it's a churro.
Yeah, churro shrimp. You never had churro shrimp? Have you heard of a Cinnabon before?
Yeah, you're just naming foods at this point. It's gross. At a religious level, I think it's disgusting.
But yeah, once you've gotten all the trouble of framing up a picture of an adult Topanga, then it's just like, what am I going to do with this now? Well, we're just going to look at it forever.
I think she was most of our first crushes. Let's be honest. Okay, no? All right.
No,
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 she
no.
holds a place in everyone's heart.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, I think it's I think I'm just a little bit too old
To have a crush on her?
to have a crush on her. I remember her, but I didn't. She wasn't right in my wheelhouse. Mine was Devon Sawa from Casper.
I mean, that hits.
Yeah,
Close enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like when Casper turns into a human at the end of the movie.
Rewatch, watch again, rewatch, watch again. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole. See, Nicole gets it.
Devin saw what
We're
was
like
your...
the same age. I think we're right on the same plane here.
Okay.
Did you, when you were a little girl, pretend that you were the Little Mermaid in the tub and splash out and sing "Part of Your"?
Yeah, I mean, we used to do this thing. There
She
was
still does it.
first, correct.
The amount of water I have to clean up in the bathroom is ridiculous.
Our bills are excessive. Yeah, we actually used
rotting
to.
away.
We used to do the neighborhood I grew up in. A lot of performances for all of our neighbors that were mostly revolving around acting out, Disney, also other CDs. But yeah, you'd be surprised. Just you always
Spice Girls was a big thing at the
Spice
time.
Girls.
Kids
There
Bop.
was the what was it? Shoot, I'm screwing it up. What was it where they were all like all siblings? Not the Brady Bunch, but the other one.
Partridge Family.
Partridge Family. Yes.
Is Partridge Family?
Yeah, we had that like album that we would play, like the record, and like act out
It's the
performances
most
to it.
suburban American.
Yes,
I've
100%.
heard in my
Yes,
life.
it is.
Yeah. The Partridge Family was dope, but like you guys aren't Partridge Family old.
I mean,
I love how everyone, for the record,
say your
everyone
age
looked
now.
at me when that point came up, which I think is ageist and unfair.
I was just saying, like my mom watched Partridge Family.
it was our parents' record. Yes.
Okay, parents'
we,
record.
But we would invite like all of our neighbors. We'd like handwrite album or like invitations and be like, come to our performance of us
Yeah.
just like lip syncing to things such as Little Mermaid, and then also the Partridge Family. So. To answer your question, yes.
Nice.
There we go.
Ryan, you were telling us on the break that you have a background in wine, and what level of sommelier?
Just the entry level. I didn't get to advanced or to master. And honestly, I got through the test part, and then the part where you actually have to go and do the blind tastings was an additional $600, and I decided not to pay that because I didn't really like the industry anymore.
Would you be interested in coming back and do a blind tasting of different Mad Dog 2020s?
I would adore that, and I would say that was my initial training in wine was Mad Dog, Wild Irish Rose,
Oh,
at
yeah.
Boone's Farm.
Get the blue.
Yeah,
Whatever I could get at the local gas station.
that was my entire growing up on the West Side. I feel like
You throw in a little Carlos Rossi and the $9 gallon jugs, and you summed up my entire 20s, I think, right there.
my roommate would just we would go watch wrestling at a friend's house. He would smash an entire bottle of Wild Irish Rose to the dome by himself, and then he would just get in his feelings, and then all of a sudden he'd like storm up to his room. 5 minutes would go by, and then you would just hear Bryan Adams start blaring, and that's how you knew the night was over.
That actually sounds familiar. I was more of like the Kool-Aid man, so I would just smash through a wall at some point.
Yeah.
There's something about the fortified wine that gets you a different level of turn.
Yeah, do they make a lot of like high end fortified wines? Like I don't see it. I'm sure they do.
It's called port.
Port. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
port
sense.
or sherry.
There you
Or,
go.
there's different ways of adding grape spirits, distilled grape spirits back in, but mostly they're for a dessert wine. They're not the before, after, middle, and dinner.
Yeah.
beverage that Mad Dog nails, I think.
Yeah, Mad Dog really is an aperitif. I've always found.
Digestive as well, because when you drink it, you literally can't handle anything else
Yeah.
without vomiting.
Oh man, a lot of bad memories.
I'm impressed you still have your memories.
Yeah.
Because
That was one of the first things I remember drinking, and then I remember not drinking for a number of years after that. This alcohol is disgusting. So tell us about these not disgusting, wonderful beers that you guys brought
My
over.
goodness, they're great.
Did you like that transition?
that's a nice
Speaking
thing.
of disgusting, what's not disgusting?
Well, you got to neg it first before you build it up, right? So, well, we brought 4 different ones. We've got a Juniper Kolsch, Cold IPA, an Italian Pilsner, and a Lemon Cream Earl Grey American Wheat beer.
Woo!
So a little bit all over the map. I would say, one, I brew what I like. And then sort of philosophically, I don't brew anything above 6.5% alcohol.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of people in this city where you can go and get high ABV stuff. Gugman does wonderful double IPAs. Deviate does the weirdest high adjunct, high ABV stuff you could possibly find. And while we appreciate them and shout out to them, it's not generally what we drink. So it seemed a bit disingenuous to open a brewery and not actually serve the products that we enjoy.
Yeah.
So everything that we have on our menu is stuff that we regularly drink and
That's smart. I like that because it's just like you're not like just like panning to the audience that like this is what we want, or well, it's not the audience, but just like the status quo of hey, everybody's doing this or everybody's doing the zombie dust, so we're doing I don't know.
I think for us, it's definitely that throwback aesthetic. It's the neighborhood pub or the neighborhood bar, or go back far enough, it was the neighborhood brewery, and that brewery supplied that neighborhood, and they generally made one or two products.
Yeah.
So for us, it is really a philosophical thing. We're going to brew the beer that we'll drink in the way that we want to brew it in the styles that we will. So I'm never going to put lactose in a beer. I'm never going to make a 13% cereal infused beer. I don't generally add anything to my beer that has sugar in it.
I feel like you're talking about one specific brewery right now.
I think they're the most prominent outlier of what we're talking about. But first and foremost, and I've said this, I mean, I've been in alcohol now for 20 years, so I've said this my entire high five. I've said this my entire time. Your palate is your palate, and no one is allowed to tell you that your palate is wrong.
Yeah.
As soon as you start listening to somebody else describe what your palate is, you're advocating the throne.
Thank you.
So
And there's markets for everything. You know,
Exactly.
like
There's
I know
something for
people
everyone.
that love that particular
Yeah,
place.
that's all
And
they
it's
want.
why we shout out the people that we think
Always.
Yeah.
do it well. It's just not what we personally enjoy. So rather than get up and, I mean, I think it was a little arrogant to come out with a palette of beers that I did, but ultimately it's worked out well for us. And fundamentally, if your palette runs parallel to mine, awesome. If it's perpendicular, there's 70 other breweries in the Indianapolis area that you can go and support.
Yeah, exactly.
And more power to you. I'm not hating on anybody.
Yeah, not at
I'm just
all.
not going to make beer that I don't like.
Can I ask you, what do you think about synthetic hops? Do you guys use them? Are you guys, where are you
Are we
at
talking
with
about
that?
spice? Or
Yeah, what do you guys think about spice? Let's get off this beer
Listen,
subject.
here's
I've got a
something.
Bath Salts Pilsner that's coming out that will tear your face off.
I didn't know you guys like to get wet.
Isn't that like space dust drink?
Like you're talking about like cryo hops or like
Yeah.
okay.
So those aren't actually synthetic hops. They're like, it's the hash of the hop world.
Okay.
So for one, hops and cannabis are the two closest relatives in the plant kingdom.
Okay.
So like in the way that you can extract the good stuff from cannabis and condense it, you can do the same thing with hops, and that's lupulin powder, cryo powder. It depends on what the brand name is. It depends on who's marketing it, but essentially that's the concentrated essence of hops. So it's not artificial. It's just not like a whole hop cone.
Yeah.
Which ultimately no one
really uses the whole cones.
No, I mean there's people that hang their head on it. I think like Victory, their entire shtick is that they use whole hop cone in all of their beers. But you're talking about vast quantities.
Yeah,
And it's
so storage is a pain.
Storage is a pain, and it absorbs a lot of liquid. And the more liquid your hops absorb, the less liquid you have to put in a keg.
Yeah.
I've had some like cool beers like Randalled over fresh hops, and that's fun. But it's
Yeah.
just kind of more of a gimmick, I feel like, than it doesn't seem like. I mean, like if, like you said, if that's your thing, you're making it you're going out of your way to make it your thing. It's not really the industry standard.
I
Because it's not the
agree.
easiest thing to do.
I hesitate to use the word gimmick because ultimately, like I use tea in my beer. Is that a gimmick?
Right.
Is it? I don't know that it is, but it's certainly not like German Reinheitsgebot. It's not the 4 ingredients that's all you're allowed to
I mean,
use.
I think of a gimmick of like we're going out of our way to do something that's maybe a little bit more difficult because we really like it that way. Then it's kind of like you're setting yourself apart in this way, and like then that does be kind of like, I don't think Gimmick's a bad thing either. You know, I use Gimmick. We're comedians too, so it's a lot of times it's like Gimmick could be.
Is he backpedaling?
Yeah, like our whole menu is a gimmick today.
Yeah, I love gimmicks. I mean,
We do it on a weekly basis.
my bread and butter is gimmicks.
Well, I would say then my rubber chicken and my goofy glasses and nose would be doing things like tea blends, but I'm not gonna add things that contain sugar.
Yeah.
Because frankly, I don't enjoy. I love sweet. I love desserts. It's my favorite part of the meal, but I don't like it in conjunction with alcohol. I've again at 41, hangovers are 2 or 3 days, and sugar just exacerbates that problem. It just makes it worse. So I prefer to have 3, 4, 5, even maybe more pints of a beverage and not being unsafe to drive. So philosophically for us, it's a way of, I think, being cognizant of our consumers, being cognizant of the fact that we're an out of the way location that maybe most people are driving to. And
Speaking of which, how close are you guys to the Pleasant Run Parkway Trail? Because my idea was I wanted to just ride my bike there.
So I literally just did this for the first time 2 days ago. I got from my house in Little Flower to the brewery in less than 10 minutes.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So you can go right up the Pleasant Run Trail, even over through because right now Southeastern and English are both blocked off with construction.
Yeah.
The trail is still open.
Nice.
So you can take the Pleasant Run pretty much the whole way from Irvington all the way to the brewery, and then you wind your way through a neighborhood. You're never on the main street or anything.
I love it. This is a brewery that supports driving and drinking. If you want to drink and drive,
Bike riding.
Oh, don't go to those other breweries that do the sugary hops and 13% ABVs.
I appreciate you distilling my message. I was trying to be subtle with it, but I think sometimes you got to be right up front.
I think too, though, and I mean, maybe it's in my head that has been suggested, but I think that the cryo hops, I notice a difference. I don't know if it's like an oiliness or something like that comes through in the beer. I personally feel like I notice a difference versus even just pellets. It's not my favorite.
It's not good.
Like, I don't
It's
particularly
evil.
love it. I'm not going to go that far, but I'm
Here's the thing. I will cut you guys off here for this important thing. I have nightmares when I drink this stuff. So every time I have these cryo hops,
He thinks Citra hops causes nightmares.
Citro hops gives me the most terrible nightmares where I wake up and I'm thankful that I'm alive. I'm talking Freddy Krueger would have to see a therapist after having these nightmares.
So what I love about this conversation, this actually came up randomly with a young lady that was in my bar who talked about how terpenes, something that we're familiar with maybe from other aspects of our social lives, give different effects to her at different times. Terpenes are basically flavor compounds that are also present in hops to a certain degree. And we haven't studied the effect of any of these things. So when people talk about the different effects that alcohol, like I tend to think of wine as a fun, happy drunk. I tend to think of beer as like sort of a long, kind of mellow, kind of chill drunk. I think of spirit of getting my blood all riled up. Like these things are tied into different compounds that we haven't really studied. So to your point, there's quite possibly something that's going on in a very concentrated distilled essence of a hop.
Yeah.
That might be riding along and giving you a bad nightmare.
Well, I think the government knows something that they're not letting any of us know.
It's
The
the
beer.
CIA, man. This is
Well,
crack all over it.
Yeah, look, I think you go back, you trace who created the Citra hop, and then you dig on his life story.
Follow the money. That's really our message here on Harder Brunch.
I watched this documentary on Netflix already.
Some poor hop farmer in Yakima Valley in Washington.
It's gonna come out, and like people are gonna be like, "We were drinking that? Like, really? They were only saying it was half a hop." No,
Come for the free breakfast. Stay for the Q drops.
come on. This is
I'm right here with you.
this is science.
I
Thank
love
you,
it.
thank
I've
you.
got plenty.
What suggestions have popped up amongst your customers that have just been so wild, but you've heard them either a lot or they've just been like not just like some crazy one-offs, but things where it's like I never really thought about doing that, but a lot of people want X, and then you have to decide, is this something that kind of fits in with what we do, or is this just like, we're not going to do that?
I spend a lot of time in the bar. I mean, Ryan does too, but I'm usually bartending. I actually don't get a lot of like people come in wanting what they want usually, and then when we might not have it, we're not doing flights or we're not doing the slushy beers or something like that.
It's pronounced slurshy.
Oh yes, so sorry. Once they are almost like forced to try something maybe like a little bit different, it's actually been like overwhelmingly positive. Like people are kind of like, hell yeah, thank you for all the lagers. Like I don't know, it's just been kind of cool to see like plenty of places are doing lagers.
Yeah.
Not saying we're reinventing the wheel, but having almost like a lower ABV lager focus, people have been like super vibing on it. So I don't know. I don't know that I've seen like, I haven't had a lot of people actually be like mad that we're not.
To be honest, the biggest requests are for things that aren't beer. So either somebody's interested in a non-alcoholic option, which is fantastic, and Nicole has done an amazing job of making sure that we're very inclusive to gluten-free, non-alcoholic lifestyle choices.
We have water.
Well, no, we actually have gluten-free beer. We have non-alcoholic
We have
beers.
4 gluten-free
Oh, wow,
beers.
cool.
We have 4 non-alcoholic beers.
Wow.
CBD waters.
We bring 4, like, I just don't ever want it to be where exactly that, honestly, where it's like you show up and you're like, well, here's the one cider you can have.
Yeah.
Or like, I want you to come hang out and have like your choice of the flavor beer you want that's non-alcoholic.
Or you don't like beer,
Yeah.
but you still want to support a local business. We still have options for you, so
Okay.
you can get your seltzer on or your cider.
Do you make your own CBD water?
I do not. I am very familiar with the process of it.
Sure.
It's just to do it, I would have to devote a draft line, whereas other people can package it. So this is allowing me to keep all 10 draft lines for our product,
Okay.
but still offering it. And Untitled Arts out of Wisconsin,
Yeah,
they
they do a
make
great
an
job.
amazing product. They have 4 different CBD waters that we carry, and every one of them is delicious. And honestly, a really good, mellow kind of way to end your night.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was can I have whatever the 4th beer is?
Well, you actually kicked the bottle on it.
Oh, I did? Oh, no.
So that was
gonna
a,
have one of the others.
that was a Cold IPA, which is a relatively new style out of a brewery in Oregon called Wayfinder.
What's the definition of cold IPA?
So essentially, this guy was like a lager focused brewery, and for a while there's been hoppy lagers or IPLs, India Pale Lagers, but he decided that he didn't like the way that New World hops, the really fruity hops that we grow here in America, pair with lager yeast. Lager yeast, when you ferment properly at cold temperatures, tastes like it throws off sulfur. And sulfur and the fruity aspects of New World hops don't really go well together. So he developed this recipe roughly 2 years ago that takes kind of the best aspects of New World hops and West Coast IPAs and lagers and blends them all together.
Oh.
So I would say the main difference is, one, there's no caramel hops in it. It's all Pilsner malt and rice.
Thank you.
So it's very, very dry, very, very crushable, like a very light lager. You use a lager yeast, but you ferment it warm for a lager yeast, but cold for an ale yeast. So that's the name Cold IPA, because you're essentially fermenting it slightly colder than what you typically would in ale.
I was really hoping that somewhere in there you've been like, and then we just add just a shit ton of citra hops to it.
I actually don't use Citra in any of my stuff. So.
We're in your nightmare right now, Thad.
Well, we summon the devil, and then the citral hops just pop in.
Yeah, man, I really hope this doesn't go off the wrong way.
Well, no, this is we are out of the cold IPA, but this is the Italian pills for y'all to keep in, line with really.
There is something because like
There you go.
so I kind of got into craft beer like in like 2010. I started working at a craft beer bar, and then just kept jumping around and like learning more about this brewery and that brewery. And I feel like everyone kind of went through this cycle of like, you got to go to the hoppiest IPA and the dankest, darkest stout. And they're all great, and there's a time and a place for all of that, right? But then it's like also when you're working at a brewery and you're drinking like 3 Old Rasputins a night, it's like eating like 3 loaves of bread before going to bed, like.
Sure.
And then when I was working on the food truck, we would pull up to breweries all the time, and it's 113 degrees on there, and I was just like, can you just give me the closest lightest beer, like the closest thing to water that there is. And I think that kind of switched something back over, was just like where it became like you weren't cool if you were drinking anything but an IPA for a while. And then I feel like it's kind of switched back to like, you know, a lighter beer is fine if it's brewed correctly, you know, like there's no shame in it. Like it can be very enjoyable. And also the idea of being able to drink a few beers and not be, you know, like there's some of my favorite IPAs, but I can only have one or two of them, and then I'm like sideways, you know.
It sounds like you're hanging out around like a lot of beer bullies. Like, what are you drinking there?
What are you drinking there, Pilsner boy? Don't call me that.
I think it's been cool
call me
too.
Pilsner
Yeah,
boy any day,
yeah.
man.
I think it's been really neat that I feel like, especially people in the industry, are like super jazzed to like they're about the crispy beers. So it's been cool to see so many people that are industry folks come in and are just like, thank you, loggers. Thank you so much.
It's almost a cliche.
It is, honestly.
The longer that you're a brewer, the more you just want to drink lager. When everyone starts in craft brewing, all you make is IPAs. And I think, dude, I mean, it's still one of my favorite styles. Hops are one of the 4 main flavor components in beer, so it's the most readily accessible way to change a flavor profile. It's y'all's seasonings, right? When you cook that delicious brunch, that's hops. That's what you're sprinkling on to change the aspect of a recipe. So fortunately for us, we've timed our brewery with this sort of move away from the 120 IBU 8%ers, the tongue cutters, I call them, to things that are more sessionable. I think people want to be responsible. I think younger generations are certainly more health conscious, and ultimately, at the end of the day, again, this is just based on we make what we like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm really grateful that we're getting the response that we're getting, and that I literally can't brew beer fast enough. The Italian Pilsner, I just brewed my 3rd batch, and we've been open for 2 months. That's insane to me. I'm humbled and I'm grateful, but ultimately I think it's also indicative of a shift within the industry.
Yeah. The beers are fantastic. I did want to ask you, Nicole, like you were talking about creating your own culture and being able to do that. Can you get a little more examples of what that culture looks like and the things that you wanted to do and the things that are important to you as a brewery owner?
Yeah, absolutely. When we initially were talking about developing the concept even of the interior space, like I wanted it to be, I mean, I guess this isn't culture, but in general, I wanted it to be very like welcoming to women. I feel like breweries can feel a little masculine, a little cold. And I want it to be a place that like ladies, regardless of what, you know, you like to drink, could come in and like hang out. That's honestly been one of the most rewarding things for me, is that I am seeing like groups of young women or just groups of women come in and just like hang out together in that space, which is super cool. What we offer is a big part of it, like being focused to trying to support the best that we can within our licensing, non-alcoholic drink, you know, people that are doing a non-alcoholic lifestyle or whatever you want, trying to be really inclusive that way. So the space is like literally a space for everybody.
I love that.
How we compensate people that we talked about earlier, that's a huge focus, because I mean, beer is definitely one of those offenders where you're just like, oh, it's cool, so we can pay you nothing, and you're just here, and like we're just going through these, like we all got in at the same time, and now you're seeing like a wave of like, okay, well, we're all turning 40 and we need like health insurance or it's like make a living.
Yeah.
And rather than be supported financially, I just feel like the industry is like, well, it's fine. We'll just take the next wave of 20-year-olds that are willing to just, it's like the intern model, right? Like we're willing to get those free interns and
burn them out. And
exactly. And then we just get the next one.
I want to go back to.
Hey, actually, I disagree with that. I'm a big supporter of free intern work. Also, free work just in general.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
like-
all.
Yeah, where's the health plan?
Listen,
Healthcare plan.
Pay you in beer only goes so far, you know, at the end of the day. So there's a big part of that.
You're getting real world experience around here.
Yes. This is, exactly. You're getting your name out there,
Yeah,
Jake.
yeah, get your name out there.
Exposure. That's what they call that.
Dude, I'm going to give everyone so much exposure.
You do.
So we have that, and then
private.
we've had a lot of like a relatively recent Me Too movement, essentially in beer, has happened. A young woman out of a brewery on the East Coast, her Instagram is Rat Magnet. She put something on social media really casually, just being like, hey, like she was frustrated and was like, tell me about a time in craft beer that you were like mistreated as a woman. And it snowballed into a thing that has gone on for years now. There's a Brave Noise beer now that's being like brewed in support of like this movement. It's created, I mean, it's really affected like breweries of all sorts of magnitude. So I think continuing to bring in women into leadership positions of beer and to have them be more than just taproom servers. Not like there's anything wrong with that, but like to continue to like promote them is really important too. Yeah, not just be the face of the bar, but also be like influential decision makers is important.
One, I would hate to be Me Too'd by someone named Rat Magnet. Like, if you're not
Oh dear.
if you're not holding the bar to someone's screen name being Rat Magnet, like, this guy was worse than a rat. All right, you guys know how I like rats. This guy, screw him. Second of all, like, I really do want to speak to that, like, where you were saying like you wanted to make it more comfortable for women as well. So is like the aesthetic different? Like, do you see different like paintings on the wall? Like, how do you make that more comfortable?
Yeah. I think
that sounded sexist, but I'm just like, what do you do to make it feel more
Is everything
comfortable?
pink in there or what?
Because I'm trying to do the same thing for my house.
understandably so. I mean, we did have an emphasis on comfort in that tap room and having it be more. It's not like that, it's not like the hard metal, awful, bar stools, and it's not just all exposed, metal ductwork. We have exposed pipes for sure in that old building, but it is like the color palette's a little more feminine. It's like purples and teals, and it's not all pink, but a smidge pink, and just really comfortable.
Mardi Gras colors.
Yeah, trying to be more like
Sorry,
our merch options, we're trying to be a little bit more like female focused. We've got like nice bandana, like silky bandanas for lady or men, whoever. But just trying to get that a little bit of that focus where it just feels comfortable.
I think also just by nature not having kind of that kind of toxic bro culture that gets tied up in beer a lot,
Totally.
And just to know like, oh, this is a woman-owned brewery,
right?
And it's
It
a
does
safe
seem to affect
space,
it.
and I feel like all that stuff is kind of top down, and I'm just assuming like, I mean, right now it's just the two of you, but I'm assuming as the staff grows and stuff like how you treat your employees and how you treat your customers and stuff, that all just kind of. That stuff actually does trickle down.
Yeah.
Money never trickles down, but like that culture really does, and I think that's very important.
Well, we have a focus too of like bringing in like teaching women how to brew. I'm going to learn how to brew, but we're also trying to still like tie down a program where women that want to learn to brew can come to Kismet and learn how to brew. We're trying to engage really strongly with home brewers to try to give them a lot of opportunities where not only do they brew with us, but they get compensated for it. So there's a lot we're working on right now to try to engage with like our community and women specifically, but our entire community.
I'm going to do a quick commercial for you guys because I love that. Men, if you're looking for a safe place for women, wait, cut.
We're gonna come find the ladies.
I wouldn't hire him.
Women, take your men down in Kismet, okay? Not men take your women down.
All right, well, I fired myself.
I would just like to double down on that because I'm going to be honest with you. The biggest question that we've gotten about this is how can a husband and wife team, how can it be a female-owned brewery? We structured the business like legally it's a female-owned brewery. And that is indicative of the 2.5 years of work that she did to even make this happen. I wasn't on board with this. I was
It was going to be really weird if we had hired a different brewer.
I was working multiple places.
You came on kicking and screaming against your will.
I had the whole COVID fear. I didn't think, I just didn't see how it was going to work.
You couldn't see the world
snapping
back or changing.
at all.
Yeah, fair.
I loved
fair.
what she came up with. I love the idea behind it. And of course, I'll support her in whatever she does. So when she took the ball and ran with it and made this whole thing happen, if that's not indicative of business ownership, I don't know what is. So while the beer, I think, is my purview, the overarching theme, philosophy, look of the brewery is wholly Nicole, is wholly feminine. And that has been, I think, absolutely the most gratifying thing of being someone that's worked in the service industry for well over a decade. Is too often it is a very locker room, masculine focused kind of environment. And the women that in it, you kind of either have to play by those rules or you need to find a different job. So I'm really, really grateful that she's created this opportunity, I think, for moving that forward in our industry. Because some of the most talented people that I've met in this industry are female. Some of the most talented people that worked on this project are the wives of the husband and wife teams that all collaborated on it. So
You get treated better. The aesthetic is always cooler, and the bathroom is always so much cleaner.
Oh, just you wait until you see our bathrooms. Like, literally, they're next level. And that's a big shout out to Sarah Potts at Guide and Anchor Creative Studio, because I fought her tooth and nail in those bathrooms. But they are chef's kiss.
Guys, I could talk to you for 3 more hours, but we are at our time. Can you drop a beat for me, sir?
I went so quick.
Let's get the official plug in, and I'm gonna come down. I feel like this is gonna be like my new favorite place.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna ride my bike there all the time. Let's get the good plug in for the brewery. Where you at? Where can people find you on social media? What do you got coming up? Whatever you want to say.
201 South Rural. We're at Kismet Beer Co. on social media. What do we got coming up? Beer. More great beer.
got a lemon peel grisette, a hazy black IPA. I've got a German Pilsner. I just get bored brewing the same things. A cherry almond Berliner Weiss. I will constantly have new things on the menu.
Nice.
So, yeah, always new.
Thaddeus J. McKee, you'll always be my hazy black. Where can people find you and follow you on social media?
I do not support this message. I'm Thaddeus McKee. I do not support this. Honestly, you can find me at their brewery now. I found out that there's a lot
He'll
of...
be luring women to the brewery.
I like it when women feel safe. All right? So screw you if you're against that. I'm going to go there to make them feel more safe. You know? With the new carry laws, I'm going to be strapped. Ladies, don't worry. I got you. And I'm slightly buzzed.
Sauce Boss?
Really appreciate you guys having us on, man. Thank you. Thank you for the brunch and the hearty laughs.
If you want more scary stuff like that, please check out our After Brunch. It's only $3 a month for all of the safe spaces you can handle.
I feel like it can only get scarier. Yeah, maybe that could be a side hustle for you. Armed, like you could like an armed guard
Armed
walk people
escorts.
from armed escorts from breweries back to their car. You know, I think
No, I like that. A volunteer security guard. I know you didn't ask me, man. But I'm going to be walking with you. These streets are not safe. I don't know what that voice is.
Indicative of what that whole experience was like for that young lady.
Like he wasn't like, talking like that at all.
He showed up with a gun. So he was walking into his
Yeah,
dog.
mansplaining safety over here.
You have 3 guns. Who carries 3 guns?
You're from Just Pizza?
he's always strapped.
Always,
God,
always.
that's a whole other podcast.
That's another podcast right there.
Hey, stick around if you want to hear the After Brunch podcast. We got Katie Hellich coming up. We'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.